Alright, what's up everyone? Today we're diving into a juicy one from our /malicious compliance. Get ready for a story called Higher Ups Told Me to Look Elsewhere. Should be good. Let's get into it. Obligatory English is not my first language and writing on mobile. So I am a civil engineer that has done my engineering degree specializing in structural engineering. On top of that, I did a specializing year in complex studies and design in a renowned school in my country after my engineering degree. To know if that could give you an idea of my competences, but I was second and third respectively on the rankings for both these schools for a promotion of 120 people. As a consequence, you could say I am heavily specialized. TLDR, classical first job with classical. If you are not happy, look elsewhere with a big downfall for the firm. Cue the end of my studies. I signed a contract for the job I wanted before even finishing my studies. I wasn't rushed, pretty much interviewed for 5 jobs with 7 CVs sent and 4 propositions. The team I joined was 6 engineers, including me, specializing in existing structures. Think if a bridge or a dam has a crack, they call us to come see on site and run calculation to see if everything is fine or not. Fast forward a year, I integrated quite well, grew in competence and maturity. After the second, I have gone from the guy asking questions to the guy they came to when people needed answers. All was well, I got raises every year and bonuses with compliments, all the good stuff. Stuff began to go bad after the 3rd year. At the 3rd year, I was more or less the go-to guy for complex project and when people didn't find answers. As such, I asked to move forward from project manager to a more back position we call technical referent. Basically, you keep producing as usual, but some of your time is dedicated to standard compliance for the team and answering deeper subjects that are passed through the year. It is not something that existed in this firm but exists in a lot of firms here. I proposed this because at the time the team had grown to 12 people. Thanks to my participation in more complex project, we even had grown our sales by 30% in 3 years. We had raised more people as project managers. As a consequence, with basically 2 people taking the part one couldn't do when becoming a referent, it became a new possibility. Even my chief and the chief of my chief told me and wrote in my yearly review that a lot of the projects we had at the time were because I was here. Anyways, to become a technical referent, I told them I would need to get some formations to complete my technical knowledge, for which I proposed the subjects myself and even got pricing and contact for institutions. They agreed both in oral and writing, but saying it might take some time, but they are interested in creating this position in the firm. You can begin to imagine where this is going. At the 4th year, becoming more and more essential to the team, I was teaching and testing newcomers. Everyone came to ask me questions instead of going to the chief. Even the chief came to me. He even told me he didn't even comprehend technical meaning, some of the technical report and calculations I made. Basically, I became the go-to guy and blocked or all is lost. Seeing nothing happening regarding the formations I asked for and the position, I asked to see someone from HR to discuss my career plan. Well, the HR interview was a dumpster fire. They got my name wrong, never heard of me, didn't get my file, nothing, so the discussion was rather void and short. To give you an idea, the firm is quite big here for our branch of the trade, 500 people with 6 HR people at the time for all of us. Funnily, the HR I saw was the one who recruited me. Came the yearly interview after with my chief. I pretty much said I was beginning to have some doubt about their will to make me evolve. They did gave me a raise, a bonus, and told me they would do everything necessary to make me evolve as I asked. Now at my 5th year, 3 people left, 2 for geographical reason to reunite with their family and 1 because they realized they technically couldn't follow the team and the projects we worked on. Nothing happened for me. I was more or less one of the 2 pillars of our team, but no formations, no evolution, no nothing. Even had to fight to get a specialized computer for calculations. Try to run a complex FEM model on a 5-year-old i5 with 8 GB of RAM all day long and you will feel my pain. Anyway, I asked to see my chief. I basically told him it has been 2 years, nothing has been done, please do something, anything. After this, they asked me for a meeting with the chief of my chief and a chief from another division. First thing in the meeting, the chief of my chief says, "So, I didn't read your file and am not aware of what is asked, please explain again." This guy manages 50 people, yes 50. Fine, I explained again. After explaining, I was more or less crushed by 2 of them for 1 hour while my chief said nothing. Basically, I didn't make any effort. It is my job to answer everyone. I was asking for too much and stuff like that. To be true, at the 10th minute I shut my brain off. At the end, I pretty much told them if nothing is done I would begin to look elsewhere and many of the team which are looking at this situation might follow. They answered that I should look elsewhere if not satisfied, but they will see to meet my demands, which is quite a contradiction. Now 4 months later, where I was more or less treated as if I was sick and I would transmit it to them by the hierarchy. I was told on multiple times the grass is not greener elsewhere, you might not find something better but you might still want to look, and all the nice things you can imagine to keep someone. I get along with everyone in the team, all, except my chief who was indifferent, were quite irritated with what was happening for me. To note, most of them were taught by me at this point with their skills inherited from me too. Well, being fed up with my hierarchy, I began searching thinking nothing would move. Indeed, nothing moved. I sent 5 CVs, interviewed for 3 and got 2 propositions. And accepted 1. Before going, I told them that even if grass is not always greener elsewhere, you won't keep someone by threatening them, and that people might follow what I have done if they are not able to recognize their talents. I got a nice job now, more laid back, less hours, 10% raise, more advantages, including a car paid by the firm, national referent for my post, and more. Now the fallout: 2 people followed me in resigning 3 and 6 months later because they lost trust in the firm with what happened to me. From the 6 people left, 3 told me they would leave because of what happened. From what they said to me, the atmosphere is dead now. They don't have anyone to turn to for technical questions, no fun discussion at the job, no more technical discussions, pretty much a skeleton crew waiting to find better. To give you an idea, those guys are good. Tried to recruit 2 of them myself, but was refused because it is too far from their family, understandable. I do try to send them jobs offering I hear from and recommend them. When they are gone, the person with the most experience in the division except the chief would have 10 months experience. The medium experience time would be 5 months. They lost big contracts I carried. Some clients called me personally to ask what happened and said they will give them the benefit of the doubt, but they told me they didn't trust my chief because he screwed them over in the past. I went back some time ago to say hi. I was told the sales have gone back to the level 5 years ago before I was in the firm, a decrease of 35% at the time in the span of 9 months with 3 resignation. Even my now past chief told me they now don't even try to answer projects involving calculations. That seems a bit hard because they don't have the competences with me gone. Now the future for the division seems hazy because they don't know where to stand because of the lack of competences, complex project, calculations, etc. This happened quite some time ago now, but happy to get this off my chest. For newly hires and first job people, please begin to recognize your worth as soon as you can. It will help you so much to evolve and know when you are being screwed. Thanks for reading, cheers. Alright, let's dive into this Reddit post, shall we? So, this dude's like a super specialized civil engineer, right? Gets headhunted straight out of school, killing it at his job. Sounds like a pretty sweet gig at first. But then things get weird. He's basically carrying the whole team, wants to level up, and they just ignore him? Like, HR doesn't even know who he is? That's a major red flag, man. Then they gaslight him in a meeting and he's like, peace out. Good for him, honestly. He gets a better job and his old team implodes? That's some karma right there. Goes to show, know your worth, people. Now, let's hear from the community and their thoughts. TLD, your employee doing a great job, goes above and beyond, carries the team, is offered a promotion which does not materialize, is told if you're not happy, look elsewhere, but you won't find better. Finds better, leaves. Never get tired of seeing those stories here. I left a job for one that was closer to home and about a 25% increase. When I reported the first day, I was told the manager that interviewed and offered the job to me was no longer there. He quit. After 4 months, everyone on the project I was on had quit, 5 people. I told my wife if they did not hire someone in 2 weeks that had experience on the software used, I was going to start looking. They did hire someone within that 2 weeks, but he had no experience on the software and could barely speak English. I started looking and within a week had an offer that was also much closer to home and a 25% increase. It gets messy, but I'll leave that to another time. Recognizing the pillars of your team with only 50 people to manage doesn't seem too hard. One bit of advice: in 2 cases you mentioned that your file was not read. For anyone reading this, it's a good idea to bring your own copies of all possibly relevant documentation that shows your worth. In this particular case, it's quite possible it would have made no difference. But in other circumstances where management is more benignly incompetent, it can have value. I'm retired now, but one of the people I worked with was an IT technical rockstar. He knew his job and how everyone else should do their job with regard to setting up databases, the various behind-the-scenes software packages used to integrate everything, etc. He was assigned to 4 or 5 projects at a time and everyone wanted him on theirs. We were federal government contractors who worked with both our agency and contractors from other companies. It was standard practice that while we were on conference calls with all those companies and the government, anytime anyone was hesitant to answer a question without research, the gov point of contract would say, "Johnny, what do you think?" He always had an answer and any caveats about how it might not be the ideal solution. A couple years after I left, he was told they were going to submit a proposal naming him in a prominent role. They weren't going to take any other projects from him and he said it was too much and he really didn't want to work this new contract anyway. They submitted him and won the business. They told Johnny one day and he didn't show up for work the next day. Instead, his director received an email saying he quit, effective immediately, and he was FedExing all his equipment to the office, even though he lived less than 10 miles away. Moral of the story, don't tick off your rock stars, especially when they are over 60 years old and can afford to retire. Thanks for tuning in. Share your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.